Hello and welcome to the Great Parliament's Eternal Community League Thursday Challenge. Today we will be diving into round one of this event with Prometheus versus Safar. So Prometheus is on a very interesting looking spellcraft deck, making use of Horde Plunderer as a core part of the list. Now, his opponent Safar is on Charge Rod, and you might be thinking, wow, Charge Rod is a super powerful deck, right? That's been making a lot of use of Answer the Call. Wait, where are the Answer the Calls in Safar's deck? Well, Answer the Call was just recently nerfed, going up from 6 power to 7 power. It now costs an extra. So if you crafted some previously, you can dust them, but I'm still not entirely convinced 7 power Answer the Call is still bad. I think that it will still prove to be playable. But either way, the players are ready, and we're going to dive in and see how this works out.
Yeah, we'll see how the new version goes. I'm excited to see if it's still at least playable, maybe a little drop in power, but so we'll see how it goes.
So here we see Prometheus Mulligan in a hand, and Safar on a very classic Charge Rod hand. The kind that has 2 bullet shapers but no spells to play off them, and up until that torch draw, nothing to discard to them. Now, bullet shapers are very likely going to stick in this particular matchup because Prometheus doesn't really have any way to deal with them.
Yep, it
On
looks like
Prometheus,
Prometheus with a slow hand. Safar is actually playing I think, uh, someone played this in the ETS last weekend, 2 weekends ago, with the Soulfire Drakes.
yeah,
So,
it's been a while since we've seen Soulfire Drakes and Charge Rod. That was
several
used to be
nerfs
very
ago.
classic. Yeah, I mean only one nerf ago really. The Soulfire Drake, probably not even due to Charge Rod. It got nerfed up from 5 power to 6 power, which then becomes further awkward with the rod itself that's also on 6 power.
Yep.
Now we see Prometheus scout away a changey stick because right now he's looking for more units to make use of the mirror image. I mean, he can use Fetya as a way to do it, but here Safar is ultimating that Bullet Shaper to play as Soulfire Drake right now. Now, Prometheus does have a very good way of dealing with that Soulfire Drake in the Permafrost, and it looks like draws a changey stick anyway.
Yeah, definitely want to permafrost the Drake instead of Vanquish, so here probably just gonna keep attacking, but
Yeah, permafrosting the Drake means that it won't be getting the Entomb trigger, and that is going to prevent all of the units in Safar's deck from all having most likely charge, other than maybe one bullet shaper that gets flying instead.
yep, and
Because the only units in the deck that otherwise don't have charge are these merchants and bullet shapers.
yeah, Prometheus' hand has just not done much this game, and Safar has a Karia waiting on turn 6, so that
Yeah,
doesn't get stopped by Svetja.
that is correct. Now, in a void, not like, or rather in a vacuum, there is one downside to permafrosting the Soulfire Drake in that it could pick up a charge rod still, which could result, or a divining rod that could result in a number of powerful cards showing up anyway. But Safar is just going to discard that Seek Power because Svetya does not stop that. And here's Ikaria.
Yeah,
Let's see, that's.
he's willing to throw away his bullet shapers, which I think is fine, but
Yeah, the bullet shapers aren't particularly useful at this point.
it doesn't
Safar
push
can
extra
tell that
damage. So
it doesn't push extra damage, you're correct, but it does kill one of Prometheus's units, and in a deck that's built around putting weapons on units, it's good to keep the units off your opponent's side of the field.
Yeah, but here we're gonna see Akari just trade with the Shelter Wing Rider. Getting a little extra damage here with the Merchant, so, but Prometheus knows that something real big is looming on top of Safar's deck, so.
Right. As Safar did not wind up drawing a unit right now, that means that there's something with 10 extra power and
Yeah.
toughness.
I like this,
Looming.
going ahead and playing the tactic to get the lifesteal now, since he would be dead to like if it was a Akari on top. We know it's Soulfire Drake though, so this dodges lethal for a turn.
Oh, Safar is playing Answer the Calls? I need to double check that.
Yes, there's 3 copies. He still has the same list. They're just up to 7s now.
Hmm. Okay.
So either they're still trying to deck out, or maybe didn't notice that there was the change before submitting.
Well,
But here's lethal from
like I said,
Prometheus.
if Prometheus didn't have lethal now, I think that Answer the Call could still prove to be a very powerful spell.
You see the extra damage coming from Prometheus. Oh. Do you still think? Who do you think is favored here, though, going forward? Both are trying to cheat power, just through different ways, though. Answer the Call or Horde Plunderer.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of disappointed that we didn't get to see any Horde Plunderers there, but it shows that the deck can still just work as a Huru Flyers deck. And I feel like that might put Prometheus as the advantaged player here because it's a deck that kind of works as the Echo deck to go under Safar's Charge Rod, and I feel like going under Charge Rod is pretty much the only way to actually beat Charge Rod.
Yeah, that's usually. I mean, it's hard to go toe to toe on raw power if you let it get to 6, 7, 8 power. So definitely trying to go under it, I think, is a preferable strategy. Or like Svetcha, just kind of time walking them with if they have harsh rules and answer the calls. So
Right. Yeah, it's very possible that Svetya could stop a Herschel on a crucial turn.
looks like players are jumping back in though, so we'll see how this goes. And
This time Prometheus has a hand with Horde Plunderer and Copperhull Bracers,
I unfortunately have a spectator bug.
alongside Railgun's Disciple and Kothon with 3 power. I suspect this will be an easy keep for Prometheus.
Yep.
And on Safar's side of things, I imagine that's the keepable hand. Yeah,
Yeah,
Safar will keep it.
it's not super powerful, but I mean it's just consistent. Oh wow, they have. So we need to look at Safar's deck list more. I missed the power stones in it.
Yeah, that's another thing that Safar is running as a way to kind of deal with the fact that those Answer the Calls are now more expensive. It does help you get up to the power that you need, which is now 7, but it's not something that can be hit off of Answer the Call, and it's not something that can be discarded to Bullet Shaper. So
Yep.
it kind of feels like it's somewhat questionable in the plan, but it has allowed Safar to have a turn 3 Diogo Malaga that's easily out attacking this Rogun's Disciple.
Yeah, the idea of it is just to go even faster, be more consistent with your explosive turns. So, I'm trying to see what they cut. Looks like they cut 2 Diogo for 2 power stones, and I'm not sure what else.
Well, I think that's very reasonable. Diogo is one of the cards that's nowhere near as insane as the rest of the stuff in the matchup. Now, Prometheus decides the play is a Horde Plunderer rather than a Valkyrie Enforcer to silence Diogo or Genev Merchant to go get something out of the market, and I agree. Safar
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't really have any ways to kill a 4 toughness unit, and then Prometheus can follow up with Copperhull Bracers.
yeah, with a free
And
spellcraft,
that's
so
going to get. Exactly. The free spellcraft also means that Rogun's Disciple gets the double damage off of it. Now, Prometheus decided to put the weapon on Horde Plunderer because Horde Plunderer has Berserk as well, which is
Yeah,
going to result in 2 hits from the Plunderer and 2 extra Justice Sigils due to that.
it's a combo.
And since those interplay undepleted, Prometheus also then gets to play Valkyrie Enforcer to silence the Bullet Shaper and prevent any shenanigans that wouldn't have been coming out anyway. But Razan, Great Bowmaster, shows up to kill the Railgun's disciple, and Prometheus top decks a Linebreaker Shield. I think that's exactly what he wants because he can he can stun Razan here.
Yeah, Thunder Dawn seems great, and then I believe the Shield Bash will draw a card as well, so I get some more
Yes, it
information.
will.
And I mean, yeah, Diago and Bullet Shaper can't block this Horde Plunderer profitably, so
So now if I'm Prometheus before attacks, I'm Genev Merchant sending away Kothon to grab the changey stick so that my Horde Plunderer has flying because
I
I
don't
mean
think they could
I
have played
suppose
both though. Change stick costs 2, so
he hadn't played power yet this turn. He could have sent Kothon back rather than the power.
oh okay, I missed
Either
what
way,
they put back.
instead he chooses to go grab the Gift of Battle, which is another very strong card, especially since you can give your giant Horde Plunderer the ability to attack twice, and or give your Valkyrie Enforcer the ability to attack twice, and with that Finest Hour, Valkyrie Enforcer will be large enough to dodge Sulfire Drake. Instead, he goes for the Genev Merchant just to diversify threats as much as possible.
Yeah, because Prometheus or Savar has to put the Drake on the Merchant actually because of Finest Hour. So yeah, it looks
Oh,
like I think this is lethal.
yeah, these blocks are going to result in lethal from the Horde Plunderer, and
Um. Okay, so yeah. So it didn't really
yes,
matter how they blocked. They were still in pretty bad shape. So it was a quick
yeah,
2-0.
quite well, yeah. That's a quite quick 2-0 for Prometheus. And apparently, shoutouts to Cranky Panda 01 in chat for coming up with the deck list that Prometheus is playing.
Nice. I know Crank Pain has traditionally been on temporal control decks. But yeah, that deck looked pretty cool. So I'm gonna try to jump into another match here of Mulligan versus Houdini.
Oh, wonderful.
So and Houdini's playing Akaria blue, it looks like, and Mulligan is on a time Scream deck.
I think I think viewers should get to see this time Scream deck in action. So now this is a very interesting looking time Scream deck as it is making use of both Teacher of Humility and Derry Capathan. Would that be how it's pronounced? I'm not entirely sure. But Derry
The
is,
Dinosaur Rider.
yeah, the Dinosaur Rider. Derry is another way of increasing the cost of cards in Houdini's hand, which is a very interesting strategy. Like, it's not the choice that I previously had ever considered for Time Scream, but it's definitely worth considering. Now, we just dropped in to see Mulligan having screamed a Teacher of Humility that didn't actually hit due to Houdini's Island's choice. But we can see that Houdini currently has 2 disciplinary weights on himself already, so that's going to make for the 9-cost Winchest Merchant, 7-cost Rise to the Challenge, and
Ugh.
both of those things are pretty
And
hard to make use of too, because anything they pull is going to be so much more expensive.
Yep. At
This
least
card,
it doesn't make power cost more.
that is correct. So Seek Power still is fully functional, and this teacher's going to see a torch.
Uh, I guess so. I mean, I feel like once you have 2 weights, though, does the third one matter that much? And you do have harsh rules already, so maybe you want to save torches for screams. Notably, Mulligan is playing 2 cost levitate still, so I still value just getting evasion and getting one of their units through, such as Teacher or Gorgon Fanatic or oh, they still have a Beast Caller as well.
Yeah, Beast Caller is another idea that hasn't seen much screenplay in a while, but it's definitely a threat. I mean, if it connects, it makes 2/5/5s, and those stick around.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Look at that! Houdini spends his turn on Rise to the Challenge for a Sword of Icaria, which is going to cost 9. He can cast that, but it's going to be his whole turn when he does.
Yeah, so Houdini's deck is definitely a lot slower now with the weights.
That is a really strong top deck there for Houdini in that Icaria.
Icaria with power to cast.
Exactly. Now, he's very glad that he top decked it rather than like getting it off Strategizer or Wisdom of the Elders, because then he wouldn't have the power to cast it. And because he has that torch as well, he's able to play her right now and hit face without a deadly blocker to stop her.
Yeah, interesting that the torch, since the Blistersting Wasp was already exhausted, so it couldn't block. I would have liked maybe holding it for something like this.
Well, it wouldn't. Oh yeah, that could have stopped that very well, but instead we see Derry Cathane, Ripclaw Rider show up.
Yep.
Explorer Dinosaur.
Just gonna make a harsh roll cost more, since everything else draws cards basically.
Yeah, you don't really feel too bad about your opponent drawing cards. I think there was very well something to say for increasing the cost of the Sword of Icaria, just to put it outside of playable range for the moment for Houdini.
Dorothy only hits spells.
Oh, of course. But she, of course, uh, of course, has that ultimate ability to get +4 and overwhelm if you have 2 or more spells in your void, and Scream decks are definitely decks that are known to have plenty of spells in the void, and that's something you can repeat each time you Scream back Derry to turn Derry into a pretty big threat. But
oh well, Daisho.
Threat, that's a 9/9 Starshield Daisho because it picked up the Warcry from Icaria. Mulligan's now at 5, which is lethal from the Sword of Icaria, even if Mulligan has a way to break the Daisho.
No, sword hits
And
for
right
3.
now, sword hits for 5.
Oh, is it a Risen for sword? I missed that.
Yeah, it was a Risen Sword. But right now, Mulligan doesn't have any way to deal with that Daisho, so it looks like this game goes to Houdini. What a top deck. Wow.
Yep.
I mean,
Not sure what the score count is from there, but I'll get that very quickly for everybody.
I mean, we were kind of in a situation where we had hit a late game that Icaria Blue was generally favored in.
That was game 1.
Even though there were 2 weights on Houdini, he still had so many powerful threats that he could be drawing into. And the thing is, once you hit 9 power, 2 weights are only going to stop some of your cards from being played. And you
That's
see
true.
there, he just top decked the cards that he needed and never had power issues.
Yep.
Looks like the players are right back into a game. Starting off with Houdini on a rather slow-looking hand, but then again, that's totally what you're fine with if you are Houdini. Both of his power depleted, but he'll be able to play Seek Power to go get the second Justice Influence to play 1 or 2 of his Auric Rune Hammers once he gets that 4th power source. Mulligan also is on a rather slow-looking hand, but does have access to a merchant. What at this point do you feel like you'd be merchanting for if you are Mulligan?
Do they have a way to get more power? I mean, I don't know if really what they want a merchant for. Sorry, I thought you said Houdini. Mulligan, Maybe banish to preempt like a rune hammer or something, or a sword.
Certainly a strong choice because you know Houdini's on a fairly weapon-heavy version of Vicaria Blue.
But Mulligan is on the draw, so hammer would get to connect if Houdini draws a power. So
That is a big if, though.
here I think he's Mulligan's just probably gonna play Found Banner plus Wasp. They can't cast
Strong
anything
play.
else. No, he's just gonna play slow. Interesting.
And Houdini top decks another Auric Runehammer, which means that no plays for him are going to be happening here, and Mulligan is going to commit Gorgon Fanatic, which Houdini would have to permafrost if he wants to stop from hitting.
That's okay. I
Or
mean, he has to deny this card draw, I think.
absolutely,
It's like they might be thinking about just playing Merchant instead.
which would wind up working out very poorly for Houdini because Mulligan has that
Madness that he could just throw away
madness
to draw some cards.
exactly. And if I'm Mulligan, I'm more than happy to make that play. And here's Houdini playing the Merchant.
Yeah. Doesn't have power in the market, so I think we'll get just another harsh roll, which I guess that makes sense because they know that Fnatic is possibly going to draw cards, so it just needs to kind of clear the board multiple times potentially.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where you very much wish you had power in the market.
Yeah. So here Mulligan's going to get informations first. Still probably going to Madness.
Makes sense to get the information, but
He waits.
why not Madness? Okay,
Well,
okay.
what in the market he can get a banish and just kill it outright if he draws a power. It's devastating setback. I'm not sure.
Well, Mulligan probably thinks that the coast is clear to hold on for a turn because Derry doesn't show the weapons or attachments.
Yeah.
I feel like relying on that might have been a bit too risky.
I would agree.
As here's the permafrost on the Gorgon Fanatic. Now, Mulligan does have ways to sacrifice the Gorgon Fanatic and then be able to scream it back later, but for now that's just going to be a nothing unit, and Mulligan doesn't have the spells in the void to be able to ultimate Derry as well. So Derry is going to be an ultimate nothing unit for now as well. Looks like it's time for Mulligan to dive into the market with Karandon Merchant. He's going to grab Devastating Setback. Wants to get something out of Houdini's hand.
You can't cast it for a little though. Still a Shadow Source short.
That is correct.
Here now, I think Madness is going to come down next turn and answer this Runehammer potentially. Otherwise, it starts getting free cards.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of need to, especially since Derry will just die to the Runehammer, and the Runehammer will sit around.
Yep. Still feels like a tough spot for Mulligan. None of their plays are extremely strong.
Luckily for Mulligan, Houdini still seems to be having a lot of trouble drawing into power. But at this point, if Houdini does wind up drawing 3 more power, or even 2 more power, even 1 power, which allows for Harshal, those upcoming plays from Houdini are going to be absolutely devastating. So Mulligan's going to have to bank on Houdini continually being power screwed.
Yep. Mulligan thinking here a little bit. Or, yeah.
It's definitely a tough spot here. You have to figure out what way is best to allow you to keep committing your game plan, because this is one of those situations where Mulligan knows that he's the aggro deck in this matchup. Eventually, the choice is just to play out that power and pass over to Houdini, who draws a power of his own. Now, worth note that power is not a fire source, which means that in his next two power draws, he still needs to find an additional fire source to be able to play the Ikarias. But one more power draw puts Razan active, and already Harshul and the second Runehammer are active. This is getting to be a worse and worse spot for Mulligan, especially with draws like that Xenon Initiation.
Yeah. And he's just gonna let himself be hit by this Runehammer a little, try to find something better to answer it with, but
Houdini bottoms the third harsh rule because at this point he just wants to get the power to be able to play these Ikarias.
yeah, and Houdini's just drawing power and can't really cast much of anything, so I feel like he just
Right.
needs to play something on the board.
I mean, does Wasp really even count as much of something? At this point, Mulligan knows that there are harsh rules for Houdini.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about that if is one of his units permafrosted and it's just a blister sting wasp. Like the wasp would have traded with the Runehammer, and he would have taken maybe 8 less damage. So, and he could Dark Return it back with and kill an Ikaria later. So, I
Yeah,
feel like Mulligan's been too
pres-
conservative.
yeah, the presence of the Dark Return in Mulligan's hand definitely makes it seem like the conservative line of play is going to be the wrong line of play. Houdini gets an opportunity to commit Razan and shoot Mulligan's face. This is another threat that Mulligan doesn't really have any answers for.
Yeah, and now Wasp Initiation it kills Razan, but still just gonna take 6 from Runehammer plus Winchester Merchant. So
Yeah, and 6 right now means that there's going to be a 2-turn clock. It looks like a 3-turn clock to Houdini, but that torch draw, or it looks like a 3-turn clock for Mulligan, but the torch draw means that Houdini will be able to close it out in 2.
yep,
Of
but
course, Mulligan can now Dark Return the Blister Sting Wasp, which is a very strong play, but it looks like even now he's going to pass on that.
yeah, now he's just drawing
Speaking of,
madness with nothing to do with them.
speaking of passing, Houdini's not attacking with the Rune Hammer, of course, because of that Gorgon Fanatic. He, he can't actually hit face right now.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe I forgot about that interaction. So maybe Mulligan's just kind of letting the Runehammer sit there for a while.
Looks like it's time to Dark Return, and the target is going to be.
I assume Merchant. Okay, trade one of these
That's a
madnesses in for something.
that's a very reasonable choice. I respect sending the power away instead. Banish on
On the
Winchester
Merchant.
Merchant.
Okay. So this is an interesting line because Mulligan's basically just blanking weapons now because of the Gorgon Fanatic. So
Except now seems like a perfect time for Houdini to finally commit that harsh rule.
ah, he's at
But
23. He has another Runehammer, so he's under no pressure.
yeah, he's going with the conservative line of play too, which I'm not sure I love against a Scream deck.
I mean, it's only scary if like Scream comes off the top and for a Fanatic. Like Houdini's up so many cards right now that I think it's okay playing. Like he's the
Maybe.
control deck, so he just has to win the long game. And he doesn't want Mulligan to potentially be able to Haunting Scream a Gorgon Fanatic back, so just leaving it in play is actually safer. Because eventually he'll just
Right.
find ways to play these Ikarias.
Mulligan goes ahead and rips the Auric Rune Hammer rather than one of the two harsh rules or Hailstorm, as they're all kind of.
The same.
Yeah, but Houdini top decks the power he needs to play and hit with Ikaria, and even if Mulligan does this to return the Blister Sting Wasp and kill this Ikaria, she's already gotten her Warcry triggers, and there's going to be another Ikaria before this Direward Beast color gets to see a hit. And it won't be seeing a hit because Ikaria can block it as well.
I has double
Now,
menace to
the
pop
power
Aegis, but
pop Aegis and even steal Ikaria if he wants. You're correct.
still just would be dead to Ikaria, so
Yeah, I mean he doesn't die now, but he's dead to that torch. Even if he does equivocate Ikaria.
yeah, he doesn't know about the torch though. Oh no, he does. Be from the setback, so Mulligan just knows he's dead.
Now he equivocates Ikaria, just to say, "Hey, look, I can do this," and puts a very bad unit into his hand. And torch face is lethal, meaning Houdini takes this match 2-0.
Yeah, and that was our last match.
So I think we should move to a short break in preparation for the next round.
Yep, so we will see everyone in a few minutes.
Hello, we're back for round two. We're diving on to the other two 1-0 players, the ones that we didn't get to see last round. Those players are going to be Ontamu and Cross. Ontamu is on a shimmer pack list that is putting its only shimmer pack in the market. A very interesting play that I think might work out. I mean, it obviously worked out for Ontamu in round one, unless Ontamu got the bye. There was a bye.
They did get the bye, I believe.
Oh, I see. Over on Cross's side of things, very standard looking Elysian, or not Elysian, that's Cambrai. Cambrai aggro deck with your teachers and all that stuff. There's not a huge amount to be said for Cross's deck.
Those
Other
have a
than,
lot more weapons than we've seen traditionally, and playing protects.
yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Protect.
Yep. So who do you think is favored in this match, or what kind of the players are kind of looking to do?
Well, Cross is going to be looking to kill Ontamu before Ontamu gets to resolve a Shimmer Pack or multiple Xenon Obelisks.
Yep. Oh, looks like we might need to tell the players to start on the admin chat. But yep, I think this is going to come down to how fast of a start Cross can get, since Otamu's kind of the more potentially controlling deck, I feel, with the scouting parties and humbug swarms.
Right, but it's also a Teacher of Humility match where neither player really has super convenient ways to deal with them. I mean, Cross has the Valkyrie Enforcers, and Ontamu has the Permafrosts and Equivocates, so I suppose there are options, but they're not necessarily things you're hugely happy to use on a teacher, but you kind of have to.
Cross doesn't care about being hit by teacher too much. He only has Winchest Merchant, and then Teacher of Humility draws to increase cost of their cards, so they don't really have a big problem with Teacher, whereas Otamu has 8 Merchants and Find the Ways and Temple Scribe, so they care a little more about if they get hit by Teacher. Oh, and Scouting Party as well, so much bigger deal for them to be hit.
Yeah.
But it looks like the players have jumped into a game, so
Hand cam might not be available for Ontamu.
okay. We will work on getting that for everybody. So for now, we'll just have Croja's side?
Cross's side.
Cross. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and let the players start while we get
this thing figured out.
Yes.
So Cross starts off with a fairly power light hand, but it's a power light hand that allows him to play a turn 2 Teacher of Humility, and that's always where you want to be.
So, yeah, and Cross has turn 2 Teacher on the play. Well, Tamu can answer with their own.
Yep. But Cross gets to play that and attack in with the Teacher.
Oh, wow. And Ontamu just snap calls stand togethers.
Right. But then if you are Cross, you still play the stand together, right?
Yeah.
The 2 for 2 here seems fine. Nope. It looks like he's just going to go with the 1 for 1 between the 2 teachers and then play a student.
A sad student, since he missed a power drop now with it. Which, I guess that's fair for Cross to kind of bluff that. He could have also just tried to bluff Finest Hour as well. But
right.
So now we see on time we go to the merchant. Or go to the market with, so maybe just got equivocates potentially. I don't know if I think it's a little early maybe to set up shimmer packs. But we don't know their hand yet, so we're kind of just speculating. But here we see cross with the top deck, Enforcer gets to start attacking with Commando.
Yeah, the thing is here, even if Ontamu does have the power in hand to play the Shimmer Pack, there's not really a huge number of units to turn into Shimmer Packs profitably here. Looks like there was another teacher in Ontamu's hand, and that's going to get played right now. Ontamu is going for a fairly aggressive line here, attacking with both the silenced Sandstorm Titan and the Merchant.
Yeah, I mean, Cross is stuck on 3 powers, so it's a pretty reasonable line. Wow, they got the Unseal. I guess they did know there was a Stand Together looming in Cross's hand. That's a very heads-up play.
How did they know about the second Stand Together? Oh, right, yeah, no, that was the first.
That was the first one.
Yep.
They've just known about the pause since turn 3, so. And here, Cross, I think, trades with the Merchant. Yep. Kind of wants to draw a card.
Yeah, at this point, drawing a card might get him the power he needs. You don't really feel too bad about drawing that Vanquisher's Blade off of the teacher beyond the fact that it's not a power source.
Well,
because
it's a long way
the
from
power.
using Vanquish, but
yeah,
here Cross just has to play a Commando.
The thing is, he wasn't playing that anyway if it weren't, even if it weren't off the weights, because he just needs the power.
He could have put a Crown Watch Longsword on his units. It's not the worst thing.
But far, far from the best.
True.
At this point, I think Ontamu just has too many units in play for Cross to come back.
Yeah,
especially with one of Cross's mentors getting silenced. Or
there's a power, but it's unfortunately depleted.
Yeah, depleted isn't going to be what Cross is looking for, and even though he does get to play out another unit and buff it up because it is the student, I'm starting to think it's too little too late.
Yep, so now I see this. Likely just going to get Xenon Obelisk. Would be my guess. You don't really need anything else. Yep.
Yep.
So now you just giant units
Xenon
and A space is
Obelisk
the place.
Makes here because you can play it right away, and it means that while not a lethal attack, that's an attack that's ending the game in any reasonable fashion anyway.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate draw for Cross, but let's see what the players do here. So looks like we will bring you both sides of the matchup this round. So it makes it a little better for players.
Handcam will be available.
Yep. Getting lots of new players in these events still, so first time tournament players and just not used to having casters and people spectating them, so.
Yeah.
But as soon as these players jump in, we'll bring you some more coverage. I still think Cross is potentially favored, just because he kind of dirtles, quote unquote, a little less than Ontamu, but if Ontamu sticks, just gums up the board, or an unanswered Titan just locks down the fires, then we'll have a.
Looks like there's still some issues.
looks like we are good. Or no? Oh. Our hand cam is just on the wrong person.
Yeah. So over these first couple of turns, we see that Cross has been able to commit 2 teachers. Neither of those teachers have hit yet, but it's resulted in Untomo having to jump block.
Yep. So yeah, double early teacher is pretty good for Cross. Still only he's stuck on 2 power again this game. Or I guess there's 3 power last game, but yeah, still just in a rough spot power wise.
Definitely. But if Untomo doesn't figure out a way to provide some blockers, which that's
Titan does a
do
good job
for blockers. Yeah. With note, Untomo is also on both merchants.
Yes, that's just to have basically 8 copies of Shimmer Pack in their main, I would assume.
Yeah, eight merchant is a popular play, seemingly mostly in Elite Index. And here's an obelisk to buff up.
Yep. Now Titan can attack
Untomo's
pretty freely, I
units.
feel like. He trades with 2 teachers, so.
Production thing. Could you full screen it so I could? Thanks. Now, attacking with the Titan as a 6/7 means that Cross is able to triple block, but that also means Antoma gets to kill 2 of the units. Interesting choice that he decides that he would rather kill the student than both of the teachers.
Yeah, I guess because the teacher's already infiltrated, so it has done its job, whereas Awakened Student can still grow. Here we just see a interesting scouting party. I guess drawing cards is still good enough.
That's just very good in this situation. It's a bunch of units that are currently 2/2s, probably going to be 3/3s next turn because of Antamu being only 1 power away from the double effect off the obelisk. It's just good, and Antamu may have already gotten the Shimmer Pack off of the merchant, which means that maybe all of his units become 6/6s right now.
Yep.
Looks like he's using another merchant to go get the. While going and getting the Shimmer Pack here no longer feels that great because weights mean that it's going to cost quite a bit. So, oh, he doesn't have weights on him. My bad.
No, he has one weights on.
Oh, okay, then that.
I believe. We'll never
Either
know,
way,
though.
He was able to provide enough power to win this match against Cross 2-0 in a rather rapid fashion.
Yep. So we're going to look for a backup match real quick, everyone.
Prometheus and Houdini are currently playing.
I think we're going to try to... We'll do... yeah, that works. So Prometheus and Houdini.
Our other 1-win matchup.
Yep, so... Go ahead and jump in on that. So... Looks like they're hot in the middle of the action, so...
Apparently, Prometheus is currently up 1-0 in this matchup and is in a situation where he might be able to close out the remaining stuff, but Houdini does have a Harsh Rule and a follow-up Giant Icaria, so never mind. He's able to attack in with this Icaria for another Warcry trigger, then play the Harsh Rule, then play his other Icaria, which will be lethal. So it looks like we'll be getting to see game 3. I mean, Prometheus does get to play out Shelterwing Rider as a blocker, but that's all it's going to be. It's just a chump, and a chump isn't really going to be enough to deal with the follow-up sort of Icaria.
Yep.
Especially since this Icaria is going to be still around after this chump block.
Yeah, so pretty rough shape now for Prometheus.
And with the top deck of another power, that means that Houdini is going to be taking this game, not match. We're going to see a final game 3 here between these two players.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to game 3 here. I have no idea how this matchup really goes, besides that Houdini's the control deck. I've not seen this Hoover Spellcraft deck in action.
Either way, it looks like the players are diving right back in, as that is the tradition for these matches.
Yep, so bring you all that in 1 second here. And it looks like it's gonna be a bit of a grind here. Prometheus doesn't have too much early pressure, and Houdini has Hailstorm at the ready for anything.
Houdini starts off with a single target Hailstorm.
Yep,
And
that's fine. They're gonna rise this turn, most likely, so.
Yeah, Prometheus doesn't have a follow-up unit here.
See if he goes and gets, yep, the Rune Hammer. So answers Horde Plunderers and Shelterwing Riders. Prometheus gonna slow play it a little, though, which is nice. So here we're gonna see potentially Strategize plus Winchest Merchant.
Yeah, I like playing those cards, and in that order. Now, they both have to put something back.
Yeah, but which I would have wanted to play the Strategize before playing your power if I was Houdini, just to get more information, maybe draw a crest or something. But I guess he was not going to play Strategize there, so he just goes and gets Razan. Here we'll see if Houdini takes the bait with the Rune Hammer or just slams Razan.
I mean, in general, you usually want to take that block. I don't think that Houdini knows that Prometheus has this finest right now. He hasn't seen a pause.
There was a pause, though.
I mean, at the blocker's pause, though.
Yeah. No, but he knows that Finest Hours are lurking in the list, so would want to play around them. So I think here we'll just see the Razan come down and pop the Aegis. Since I don't think Prometheus has ways to re-trigger.
Of course he does. He's... Oh. Never mind.
Does not. Nope. Mirror images or anything. Or he has one mirror image in the market.
However, he has this Copperall Bracers to turn Shelterwing Rider back into a 4/5 that can attack right now because Razan gets silenced or stunned, permafrosted, perma-stunned.
One of those things.
It's not silence.
So.
And once again, Prometheus gets to hold up the Finest Hour, and you know, it's possible that in a couple of turns that Finest Hour might allow him to block an Ikaria and eat her, or break Ikaria's Aegis and Vanquish.
Like next turn.
Yeah.
So here we are. As soon
But
as Houdini, just go ahead and gotta get that finest hour out of their hand, I think, at some point. So.
yeah.
And you know
here
you're
it
playing
is.
Ikaria next turn.
Which further reason get that finest hour out of Prometheus's hand, but a
Exactly.
Valkyrie Enforcer is gonna get committed right now so that Prometheus can break Houdini's Runehammer and once again play more power.
Yep. I'm
That
not sure if that
means
was
that
needed, since the Runehammer would trade with the Shelter Wing, but you would have gotten the Merchant, so it's kind of like even on cards relatively. But Houdini,
it does mean that this Ikaria, which to be fair Prometheus did not know about, though he could have chosen to play around anyway because it's a core part of Houdini's deck, shows up fairly uncontested for that first attack. She did attack, right?
yes, interesting that there was no. I believe Prometheus could have played Shelter Wing last turn, correct?
No, he spent the turn playing Valkyrie Enforcer.
Right.
He didn't have enough follow-up power. It
I
was
believe he
like
had
a 3
enough.
power combo.
Okay. I thought he had 7 last turn before the bracers, so. But now we're just kind of in a holding
Maybe.
pattern.
I think a holding pattern here favors the person with the slightly wider board, which would be Prometheus.
I think it depends on how fast Houdini draws this Ikaria buffed thing.
Right.
Because that, if it's Daisho, then in a lot of trouble.
Another bracers. If you're Prometheus, where would you put that bracers, knowing that you can
On my
spellcraft?
Aegis unit? Maybe? Let me put it on the other Shelter Wing. So the un-Aegis Shelter Wing. Interesting. I guess that makes sense, because then Ikaria diversifies your threats around Ikaria, and I guess the island's choice, so.
Right. Now, Island's Choice will be able to kill the now 8/5 Shelter Wing Rider, but that's not what Prometheus was playing around here.
No. But
He
now
was
then
playing
Ikaria
around having,
blocks
yeah,
Vergon's
playing around
Disciple,
having,
so you take 8.
yeah, it's 2 cards that the Ikaria can't trade with right now. So, and here's Island's Choice to kill that 8/5 Shelter
Yep.
Wing.
Houdini, a
Attack.
little more behind now, but still I think decent, just because Ikaria is going to get another attack.
Yes, the Ikaria having endurance is proving to be very relevant here, but since his draw was a seek power, if Prometheus draws some way to break Ikaria's Aegis, which he didn't, it would have been almost game over.
Yeah.
Prometheus still goes for the all-out attack, which I like because he knows that Houdini is low, even though he's low himself.
And he also just bluffs the finest hour, so. Or other fast spell, I'm not sure which. How many Prometheus has in the
Exactly.
deck? Looks like just finest hours, so. It does make Houdini have to chump block with his Winchester Merchant and then trade. Well, not trade, but hope to eat the Valkyrie Enforcer.
And right here, that will be eating the Valkyrie Enforcer, but it means that Shelter Wing Rider is a lethal threat, and 2 Rogan's Disciples also are a lethal threat. Of all things for Houdini to draw, I don't. I mean, that
It answers
could be
the
enough.
Rogon's Disciple,
Yeah, it answers the
or
Shelter
that.
Wing Rider. I'm a bit less high on putting it on Shelter Wing Rider.
It takes the
Even
most
though
damage off the board, though.
yeah, it is the most damage, which means that even with this Vanquish right here,
This is an aggressive move by Prometheus, I think.
very
It's basically 2 for 1ing
like
himself to deal 4 damage.
that's not even lethal. Even though he at this point he's
Oof.
just scared of that, which he has every right to be. And it's possible that if Prometheus draws a weapon, which there are a lot of in his deck, oh, real God's Disciple, that's not a weapon, which means that he has to chump block with the Shelter Wing Rider here. It's not necessarily over yet.
Well, he can get Houdini can get a car, I believe, if it's still in their market.
Well, yeah, and he can play it
Yep.
right now, so it is over. Wow. There we are. Prometheus does not wind up taking this match, and Houdini gets it.
And that was our last match this round, so we will take a brief
Quick
break
break.
and then jump into more
We'll
action.
be Yeah, we'll be back with with Houdini versus Ontama.
Maybe.
Hello, we're back for round three, which is going to be the last round where we have two undefeateds. It won't be the last round because we're going to play 4 rounds either way. Now, our two undefeateds here are Ontamo and Houdini. Ontamo is on the more creative list here in the Shimmer Pack list that's been proven to do well for him here, while Houdini's on a somewhat of a classic in an Icaria deck. Icaria Blow sure isn't the most classic Icaria deck, but it's something that's been seeing a fair amount of play and working well. He Houdini is on a version of Icaria Blue that's running quite a few weapons. I guess it's not a huge amount because it's sort of a split between them, but it's still an amount more than I'm used to, which means that I don't know. He's also running his two Rise to the Challenge and a fair amount of card draw and strategizes and Wisdom of the Elders because that's what you do when you're Icaria Blue. And Antamo is running those teachers, but of course Houdini has various ways to deal with the teachers. Largely the torch. Actually, just the torch. I thought he also had permas. Bad. He does have permas. 2 permas. Only 2 permafrost. It's something, though. And If he is on the play, he might also have the power to use Hailstorm as a way of dealing with the teacher, or even those sort of Icarias. So there are various options for dealing with teachers, which is something that he very much wants to do, but as we've seen earlier in the tournament, is something that he doesn't necessarily need to do to win. But I feel like Antama's list is going to be more capable of punishing Houdini picking up two sets of disciplinary weights than Mulligan's time screen was.
Yep. So I think Houdini had to maybe go a bathroom break, so waiting on the players briefly, but is there a favorite you have for this matchup?
I mean, the harsh rule deck seems kind of advantaged in the matchup against the Shimmer Pack deck
The
in
Harshroom
general.
and Hailstorm deck.
Yeah, the Hailstorms as well can break the scatting parties and Humbug Swarms if there's not multiple obelisks in play.
Yeah, landing a teacher hit I think is going to be very important for Ontamu,
Yeah,
which will not be easy, but I think that's potentially their best way to plan for success. Maybe an obelisk draw where they can just get it above Hailstorm at least.
right.
We shall see. But while we're waiting on players, this seems like a good time we can talk about some of the other upcoming events we have. So since this is our second week of the ECL, just have
That's
two more
correct.
events this week, and they are our Casual Friday event. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. EDT. Same format as this event, so Swiss best of three, and it's going to be a 4-round cap. Only participation points for that one, just because we want people to kind of relax a little
Feel
bit, play some wacky decks, have some more fun.
feel we want people to feel as liberated as possible to play whatever wacky list they want. Maybe bring that deck that Prometheus was rolling. Something I'd certainly consider if I were playing.
Yep, I've seen people playing Justice Scream decks still with Hero of the People. And then Sunday is our big competitive event of Conquest, Swiss, 4 decks, 1 ban, and a cut to top 8. Starts at 12 p.m. EDT on every Sunday except for the last Sunday of the month. So, a lot more points for that one. It's usually a bigger event, so.
So we hope to see you there. And the players are getting into games, so I think it's time to dive over and
Yep.
see this match.
And Houdini's hand is pretty slow, but I think it's reasonable, though. I mean, 2 stress, a strategize. The deck wants to hit all of its power drops, so.
I don't feel you can afford to be that slow against an opponent that might be able to play a turn 2 teacher.
Yeah, but now his Houdini's hand feels real awkward. He's doesn't. I would not have seeked there on turn 1, though, because you don't know what power you actually need.
Right. But he wants to be able to have that hailstorm up and ready in case Antama does commit sort of wide. But for now, I mean, Antama doesn't really go wide early. It's more about going wide late with the Humbug Swarm and the Scouting Party.
Yep, so. Houdini's
Strategize,
likely.
however, really helps Houdini smooth out the draws.
Yeah, but I don't know what he would put back in this hand. Maybe Akaria, since he's so far from casting it.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be putting back Ikaria here.
And he has Rise to get it later, I believe. Yep, does 2 copies of Rise, so Akaria is not technically gone forever.
Antama also has a very slow hand here. with his turn 2 play being,
Find a power.
yeah. Though he does then have access to turn 3 either merchant. He's running both time and primal merchants because they can both go get Shimmer Pack. Time merchant also can get Xenon Obelisk, and the primal merchant can get Crystallizer and Seal. They're both also capable of getting Equivocate. I imagine Aurelian merchant here wants to pick up Xenon Obelisk because you have the Genev merchant to grab Shimmer Pack.
Yep, so we'll see what Ontamu decides to grab.
Starts with the Aurelian merchant, which makes a lot of sense because she is another power source as well. And there we are. Xenon Obelisk.
Yep, they're pretty likely to get to the 8 power with Define the Ways. So here you see Runehammer off the top for Houdini. Immediately kill.
Very good top deck. Gets to kill off that Aurelian merchant.
So Ontamu, yeah, goes with the Obelisk. Needs to kill that Runehammer right now. So, but here we're gonna see the sword come down and kill the favor.
But Untamu can now play some more units that he doesn't really mind dying to a sword, while also getting to dig further and work towards that 8 power he needs to play his Shimmer Pack.
Yep. Here I think Houdini's just gonna sword down the Temple Scribe and pass turn.
Yeah, he's really hoping to draw into the additional power and influence to be able to play Rizan and follow up Akaria.
Yep. So now Ontamu likely just gonna play Genev Merchant. Probably, I think pitch this depleted power potentially. Maybe the Permafrost.
I mean, Find the Way is an option as well.
Yeah. They want to at least keep hitting more power. So yep, they're gonna go to the market. And my guess would be Unseal or Equivocate. So they got the Unseal, okay.
Seal is very good when it's possible that Houdini is going to be going and grabbing something or playing some removal spell like a Harsh Rule here.
Yep. Should have played the depleted power, I think, instead of the banner, but a small misstep from Ontamu. Don't think it's really going to matter since Houdini still can't cast any spells quite yet. At least spells that do much. Because here I think Ontamu's just going to play Titan.
Yeah, you commit the Titan as soon as you can here. Blanks Houdini's flyers as well. And Ontamu gets to keep up the power for Unseal as well. So it's going to be tough, especially because Houdini, while he does draw an additional power source, that's not a fire source. Still only has the one fire influence, and that's proven to be a big problem. He also doesn't have enough power yet to double Hailstorm, which can also be unsealed if that does happen next turn.
And Double Hailstorm only kills a Genev Merchant, so.
Because the Sandstorm Titan is bigger due to the Xenon Obelisk.
Yes, good math. So, yeah, Houdini probably just has to pass the turn. Maybe he can just pop the Aegis now. That way, if he draws Harsh Rule next turn.
Permafrost to pop the Aegis. How do you feel about Permafrost as the Aegis popper? Oh, Hailstorming right now to kill the Merchant, I see.
It's interesting. I don't feel like Ontamu should unseal this. He has another Merchant in hand.
Right. Houdini now knows that Ontamu got the Unseal out of the market, so...
He goes ahead and casts it.
Yeah, I suppose he just wants to be able to have this attack here that halves Houdini's life total. Knowing that it did have Houdini's life total I feel like Antamu doesn't want to play the scouting party here, and rather maybe the Geneva merchant, just as something that's less likely to die to a harsh rule, particularly.
Maybe.
Goes for play nothing, which is another good
I
plan.
feel like it could have at least played the Geneva Merchant there. It's an Aegis unit that pitch a Permafrost and get Equivocate or Shimmer Pack, so
Right. Now Houdini with that merchant is going to be able to go and grab a harsh rule that he'll be able to play later.
or just grab a Vanquish here. You have a blocker
Vanquish
for a
the
Merchant.
yeah, Vanquish to kill the Sandstorm Titan works too. Is Houdini playing power on the market?
He is not.
Right,
They
so
have
he
a Vanquish,
can't
a
grab.
Vision, Harsh Rule, and then Razan and Acarius. So
Looks like it is going to be the Vanquish plan. That kills off Sandstorm Titan.
now I just see Permafrost come down. Plus, I think Merchant pitching Curator for an Equivocate or something. Ontamu seems like he's trying to be on the beatdown plan,
I
but he's just
mean,
going to offer a trade. I don't like this line if Ontamu is wanting to be the beatdown. Like, you just have to get the damage. Put him at 5. They can't
yeah,
cast much, really.
Antamo's having second thoughts, deciding what he wants to do. First, it's going to be Geneva Merchant to go grab something out of the market. Let's see what the trade winds up being. Yeah, I feel like Arcade Curator is the one you want to send back. But
Send back
looks like he goes
Scouting
for Scouting
Party.
Party, meaning he can permafrost that and has the Equivocate later on for something to deal with whatever Houdini has. But Houdini is not going to be able to kill both of the Geneva merchants with what he has.
Yep, that's lethal.
It just will be lethal, you're right. Antamo is going to take game 1 against Houdini.
Dini does see a pause from Ontamu, so he knows they got a fast spell from the market. So maybe just getting a little information before dying.
He also
So
knows that the only fast spell in the market now, unless something was thrown in there previously, would be that Equivocate. Either way, that's game. And Antamo now only has to win one more to beat Houdini.
yep.
I still feel that Houdini is generally favored in the matchup if he's able to get all of his power, which in that particular situation he was not.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like just having so many sweepers make it hard for Ontamu to set up Shimmer Pack, but maybe they can just beat down with some Aegis threats backed up by some counter spells.
Yeah, the thing is, the inconsistency is something you do have to deal with when you are playing Akari Blue. Well, it's gotten a lot better with access to all of the crests. It still doesn't always work, as we've seen.
Yep.
Houdini has a really good capable hand here, and Antamo has something totally serviceable as well.
Yep.
With a top, with a time sigil on top, that's going to mean a turn 2 teacher
Yeah, that's very
is
strong for
going to
Ontamu
be
now.
going to be resolved, but then going to die to a torch from Houdini.
Most likely. But
Teacher of Humility is kind of just torch tax.
yep. And here Ontamu, I assume plays the Temple Scribe. Okay. And Houdini has to play most likely just the Crest of Order and still can't Wisdom on this turn, so...
Right. That is the one downside of playing Crest. You're kind of playing one turn behind, but it's totally worth it in almost every situation, unless you're a super aggressive deck, which Houdini obviously is not.
Yep. And he's just going to develop his power base here. He can maybe play the sword if he feels like it. Get a Warcry and just kill a unit, but...
But then the sword dies to the other one, so that's a questionable play, I would say.
Yeah. The only other line Houdini really has is play this Wisdom, so...
Houdini goes with the Wisdom plan. I feel like that's just the correct play here. Taking 2 isn't a big deal.
Yep.
And being able to look further for more things like that.
I like that he did it on his turn, though, as well, since the Crest means he just sees more cards.
Right.
Now
Now, Tama's not drawing into anything allowing him to further commit to the board.
No.
So, draw of a Rise to the Challenge means that even though Houdini won't be playing a thing this turn, he's able to go get another thing to play later on.
Yeah, I think you just rise for, like, Dice Show?
I'd be rising for Ikaria number 2 here.
Or
Tama's on a very unit-heavy deck that doesn't have a huge number of ways to deal with flyers.
yeah, he could also rise for a 6 power Runehammer to kill Sandstorm Titans should they appear, so...
It is important to be wary of the Sandstorm Titans.
But Houdini's even going to play it slower than that, just wait to see what Antamu commits.
He's taking his time to decide what the play is here. He might still wind up playing.
Yeah. I feel like it's
Rise
or nothing.
Yeah. He's already shown that he's not on the play out sort of Ikaria just to kill a 1/1 plan.
Yep.
And here's Rise. He might have just been taking his time deciding which thing he wants to rise for. And now it's finding the one to click.
That is the hard part. So many options. Which one's the best or the most fun?
Right. In a matchup like this, I feel like the best is the correct target, even if it's not the most fun.
We shall see.
As much fun as we love having, it is not the ECF. So he goes for the Winchest Merchant, allowing him to dive into the market.
Okay. I guess he feels he has most single threats covered. He just wants a sweeper. If anything gets too large.
Vanquish, Vision of Austerity, Harsh Rulers on Ikaria. I mean, Merchant being able to grab Vision of Austerity is very good against a deck that is so heavily focused on obelisks.
Yeah. But Antamu's kind of just doing nothing this game.
Yeah, flooding out.
I can see Ikaria come down.
You just went robot there. I hope I'm not going robot for chat.
Robot Master Race. I feel like this is a very easy to slam Ikaria turn. I know Houdini has seen pauses, but...
Seems like it's going to be a slam Starsteel Dice Show turn instead.
I just clear the board, that's fine as well.
Yeah. He sees a pause, which means that there's probably equivocates in Tama's hand. And draw of Teacher of Humility here really isn't that amazing for Antama.
Not at this point.
It's a unit, it's better than power, but it just, I mean, it does.
It's going to eat this torch.
The Dice Show if there weren't that torch, exactly. Antamo might be considering equivocating his own teacher here, but man,
I
it's
mean,
just very unlikely for you to get a decent rate unit off of that.
yeah. But now I think Houdini, just go ahead and take the bait. If they have two equivocates, that's still fine for you. It's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Houdini has the market as well to go get another Icaria. He doesn't mind this,
Yeah, equivocate only
but
feels really good when you're pushing the tempo or you just don't care about whatever your opponent could get in like the pure control decks, which Ontamu is not. So this is a
yeah,
real
and the
unit
thing
that he
is,
gets back.
even though the Icaria goes away, it becomes a Curiox, which, to be fair, is just a 6/6 flyer with
Just a
endurance.
6/6 flyer.
But also Houdini has the 5 Warcry 5 trigger on, oh, that sort of Icaria. That works pretty
That's
well.
where it went. So he can just trade in the sword, or could just play the Curex is probably just better. I feel like so you get to keep your Daisho around.
Yeah, the best option here is either play Curiox or go to the market, grab Vision of Austerity, and turn that Xenon Obelisk into an Omen of Austerity.
I don't think you care about Obelisk right now.
I mean, it would allow Houdini to kill the Archive Curator with the Daisho.
Yeah, but Akira doesn't matter because there's Curiox just gonna block it, and then now we see Otama with a merchant that can get nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing to send to the market, so no getting anything from the market.
Maybe could have waited on that, just because he knows the Daisho is just gonna eat it. So maybe it's trying to exchange it for something relevant.
I feel like with that Unseal as well, it's just going to be really, or not Unseal, Permafrost. It's going to be really hard for Untama to come back at this point. Houdini just is the more controlling deck, even
Yeah,
though Untama is a late game
yeah.
based deck.
This is Akaria. A little bit like Houdini putting the premium one in the market. But there was a Titan. So
Yep.
Tamu isn't dead just yet.
Except Houdini can play sort of Icaria to kill that Titan.
Yes. But Ontamu is not dead.
Sure.
3 life is still more than 0.
3 is not 0.
But yeah, sword come down. And that's pretty tough for Ontamu. I don't know what draws they could have left here.
I think it's straight up nothing. I don't think Untama gets out of this, especially
Seed
not
of
with the
Wisdom.
Seed of Wisdom. So players are now 1-1, meaning we're going to have a 3-game finals, even though we'll be playing another round, so it's not quite actually the finals.
So hopefully we'll see both players maybe actually get to have a play here since Houdini kind of got influence screwed the first game and Ontamu flooded out that one.
Right. I do feel that this Elysian deck is definitely at risk of flooding out like that, though.
Oh yeah, between Find the Way, Tillier's Favors, and then like so he doesn't have a lot of threats in the deck from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he's built around hoping that his non-threats can become threats thanks to either Shimmer Pack or obelisks. And when that doesn't happen, deck feels really anemic.
Yep. So look and see what other key cards from Ontamu could have. I think Titan and Teacher Miller are kind of the biggest things since Houdini's built to just kind of crush these go wide strategy decks, and Ontamu doesn't put a ton of early pressure on either.
Right.
Yeah, Ontamu's market doesn't have cheap threats either they can play proactively. I mean, Shimmer Pack is a threat, but it costs 8. There's nothing like another Titan or something else of similar effect. Even like a Sursa would be nice.
Yep. Players are taking a short break here. And, like, even Sursa doesn't play super amazingly here. It's going to be tough for Untamu.
No, but I think you want some proactive things in the market. As you can see, Ontamu's market is fairly reactive. Equivocates removal, unseals a counterspell. Crystallize is a falter effect. Shimmer Pack is a similar thing, and Obelisk is just, if I have a board, this card is good, but he doesn't have a
If,
threat that's proactive or cheap that he can get from the market. So
right.
players are getting into game now. So
That's going to be an easy mulligan for Untamu. It's a 1-power hand that would not be getting him anywhere.
yep.
It's a mulligan into a turn 2 teacher hand. Much better. Houdini mulligans as well, getting rid of a hand without any primal influence. For a hand that does have just enough influence to play the strategize there.
Yep. So we'll see if Houdini goes ahead and aggressively strategizes. The hand isn't super great, so
I feel like there's something to be said for Eternal and Crest of Wisdom there, but perhaps Untamu wants to play turn 2 Time Sigil into turn 3 Diplomatic Seal for Primal Influence.
potentially yes.
I feel like you don't have to be super worried about that when you know you have the Find Ways in hand.
Yep.
Maybe he just wants to hold off on the Crest of Wisdom until he knows better what he wants. Top decking in a Sandstorm Titan will mean that he's going to have a real incentive to play turn 3 Crest of Wisdom. Sword of Vicaria gets to kill Teacher of Humility.
Yep. So now Tamu's just likely gonna play Crest plus Initiate. Could play Initiate plus a Find the Way as well, but none of these lines seem very good or exciting.
I'm on Diploseal Find the Way Initiate here. And it seems that's likely going to be what Untamu's on too.
Yep. Oh. Go for Merchant.
Going to the market, sending a Find the Way away to go grab Unseal. He knows that's a very powerful card here in this matchup, wanting to prevent harsh rules from Houdini.
Yep. But Houdini anticipates a Sandstorm Titan next turn, so just makes a very simple Rise play. But Ontamu
Exactly.
doesn't have that. He's going to go Scribe here. Hopefully hit an undepleted power to play the Find the Way. It does not.
I mean, Xenon Obelisk is still a good draw.
Yes.
And he can play Initiative Ascents here anyway. Get another unit onto the board. Which definitely plays into a potential Hailstorm. But Houdini's not going to draw it.
Houdini probably just going to draw some cards here. Maybe play a Merchant.
At this point, if you are Houdini, what are you merchanting for?
A Harsh Roll. Since I feel like the board's going to get wide eventually. But it's not something he needs currently, but... So See if they decide to just draw some cards from their deck and not from the market.
We shall see. Definitely a very reasonable time to go into the think tank for a while.
See, Merchants likely has to go to the bottom, I think. You just need more power and bigger, impactful cards.
Well, sending Merchant to the bottom would help you dig further to power, since you don't have any in the market. You do have the bigger impactful cards in the market, and you're going you're going to be drawing a bunch anyway off of those Wisdom of the Elders. But it looks like for now it's time to dive into the market and get that harsh rule, because Antano is starting to have a somewhat wide board, and if Xenon Obelisk or something comes down, that wide board becomes rather threatening. Antamo won't be able to play Xenon Obelisk and keep Unseal up either.
Okay, we'll see how highly which one he values more, the Unseal or the Obelisk. Because he could push more damage this turn with Obelisk, but Unseal gives him safety from potential harsh rules in following turns.
Pushing damage with Obelisk also still means that your Initiate of the Sands gets traded off if you attack with it, and you don't get to push the damage from the Initiate if you don't attack with it.
So Houdini really thinking about how if they want to block or not, which
Going for the no blocks, which is an interesting choice if he's planning on following up with Harshal.
I mean, I don't think their harsh rule would just be a 2 for 2 there.
Exactly.
So you're gonna see another merchant come down. Pitching Island's Choice or Wisdom, I think. I assume the Island's Choice. Yep. For a vision, yep, gonna blow up this Xenon Obelisk.
Right. And that's going to prevent Antamo from ever being able to play an additional Xenon Obelisk, because he doesn't have any ways to break that Omen of Austerity. That makes Antamo's deck feel a lot worse.
It does.
Now, Antamo's just going to pass here, keep the Unseal up. There's not really anything else to do. I mean, Equivocate, exactly. It's just being on 3 power there after everything he did do just doesn't work out. Houdini decides it's time to play Auric Runehammer, kill off Genève Merchant, and now Antama decides equivocating the bigger merchant is going to be the right play. And Stella, as much as I love Stella, she's just a 2-2 with Aegis in this matchup.
Yep. So, I know Tama I guess yeah, he just wanted to make sure Runehammer died. So loses Initiate. It's unfortunate, but does get Obelisks back. Or no, wait. Oh, he just can't play it. That's confused by his animations. My apologies, viewers. So yeah, just gonna play the scouting party, but didn't he top decked a Hailstorm, which seems like that's what they're gonna cast.
Did you know that the Omen of Austerity has in its art a Xenon Obelisk?
I did not.
And also that the effect for the visual effect for Xenon Obelisk, or for the Omen of Austerity effect. If you hover over the Xenon Obelisk that can't be played, its animation has a sound with it.
Interesting.
Now, Hailstorm rips away on Toma's board, trading a 3-cost spell for a 6-cost spell, and Antama does get to commit another threat here in Sandstorm Titan, but that's a threat that
So do you not just harsh
can
roll
die
this?
to...
I guess so. He knows there's unseals, so
Yeah, since Antama doesn't have Unseal power right now, there is something to be said for committing Harsh Roll.
Houdini played their power, which makes me think that they're just gonna harsh roll, since I would like to wisdom before in case you hit a crest or something else. But yeah.
Yep. 1-for-1 with Harsh Roll never feels too great, but sometimes it's just the correct play.
Yep. Sometimes, I mean, as a control deck, you just want to see a unit kill a unit and play your draw spells only after everything is gone. So
But everything's not going to wind up being gone here, as Antama gets to play another Sandstorm Titan. So we might be once bitten, twice shy for not leaving that Unseal up.
I mean, I think they have to play it though. Their hand does nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah. Houdini is at 15, which would be 3 attacks from a Sandstorm Titan. That is something you could conceivably still manage if you are Antama. It comes down to what those wisdoms get for Houdini.
Yeah. Here's gonna say Houdini's gonna draw some cards.
Main phase the first wisdom. Play a
Main phasing
crest.
both here first.
How do you feel about choosing to go deeper by playing the crest after the second wisdom?
You see more cards. There's nothing Houdini can cast on one power that answers Titan. So,
Right. So
and if the
Titan
card they wanted
will,
was on top, they see less cards. So
yeah. Titan gets in, plus Houdini to 10. Houdini might be considering playing double. Oh no, he has 9 power, which means he's able to play 1 Hailstorm and then Razan to finish off Sandstorm Titan.
yeah, Houdini gets to
And get
sneaky
around.
play here. If
Yeah, he gets around Unseal.
well, unless Ontamu unseals the first hailstorm.
Right. But I feel like if you are on Tamu, you don't do that.
You
right?
don't. Ontamu would have to have the soul read that Houdini has Razan, or like a rune hammer. So
Yep, he's letting it happen, and here's Razan.
yeah, I think that's correct. Like there's no Ontamu who can really make that read.
Antama has the pause here because he might want to equivocate Razan. I mean, its effect still happens.
Oh, he's gonna get back
But-
his Titan. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, it's a sheriff.
Marley actually works really well in this particular matchup. I mean, she won't be having tribute right now, so just going for Archive Curator for the silence.
Yeah. Definitely need to stop Razan from gaining life.
Yeah, the life gain here would be just kind of killer for Houdini finalizing Antama.
So now we see the Sheriff Marley come down. Ontamu gonna keep chip shotting away. But now Ontamu's just gonna have chump blockers every turn for this Razan.
Yeah.
So I think we're just gonna see a standoff between Razan and Sheriff Marley.
You know, those deputies could eventually become shimmer packs.
That's true.
And the Aegis here is pretty relevant as well. Houdini does have weapons, but he's going to need to draw them to be able to kill Marley through that Aegis. Looks like he's going for Hailstorm right now just to break the Aegises and is going to get that unsealed, which means he won't be able to finish Marley now.
Yep. On Tommy wanting to preserve the Aegis was a pretty smart play here. So Equivocate definitely want to keep for Akarias that are somewhere in Houdini's deck.
It becomes the deputy spam time, and if
Oof.
Houdini's not attacking in with Razan, that allows Antamo to keep widening up the board. Now that is a good draw there for Houdini. The new Razan gets to blow up Marley's Aegis, and then the Vanquish kills Marley.
Yep. Now, yeah, Houdini's getting aggressive with this silenced Razan, so
I absolutely agree. Another Archive Curator can show up to deal with the other Razan, but that's still going to be a much better pluck for Houdini than for Antamu, so instead it's just going to be Equivocate on the Razan, and it's very possible that becomes another threatening 6-drop. What are the requirements for that unit's effects again?
I believe it needs a Gunslinger ally. Or it's just an
well,
Entomb trigger. I'm not positive.
you can hover over it to find out.
I can. This way is much cleaner.
I don't remember what the unit's name is, so I can't look it up.
It's Oni Gunsmith. I know that.
Ah.
Maybe not. Oni Gun something. I know that. Probably just Oni Gun right.
Gun right.
So actually, it's just Entomb draw weapon. It gets Warcry if you have an additional Gunslinger, and it's a 5/3.
Gunslinger ally Warcry and Entomb draw a weapon from your void.
And I believe
Currently
Houdini has a
in
weapon
Houdini's
in the
form.
void.
Yeah, Arc Runehammer and Sword of Ikaria are both options. Alongside just being a 5/3, which remains threatening
Yeah.
in this matchup.
It's one of the biggest units on the board, so.
Antamo goes to the market to grab Crystallize as a way of...
Nice. And as a curator to silence the Entomb trigger. Let's see if Houdini torches his own unit.
I'm not particularly convinced that is the play here.
I mean, it doesn't ever feel good, but...
Now here's something. If you're Antamo, getting the Crystallize might not have been as good a choice as getting the Shimmer Pack.
I mean, Crystallize lets it have lethal on the following turn, so... Where Shimmer Pack doesn't guarantee that. I don't know what the difference would be, but...
I would say the Crystallize far from guarantees that anything that he does to kill any one of these units would be lethal. Oh, I guess Antamo still has the attacks here, but...
Yeah.
You need I mean, you lose the Genève Merchant to the weapon and take 5, and you only have 3 damage, and there's the...
Oh, but Houdini goes for the 1/4, so... Now Crystallize is lethal.
Yeah. Antamo found the line. I did not expect Antamo to win this, but here we are. Well done, Antamo. That's another invitational point in his bag. We will be playing a 4th round for more people to be playing for invitational points. Getting first in the tournament doesn't really affect invitational points in this event. It's just about how many rounds you win, so having 4 rounds just gives everyone another opportunity to get a point.
Yep, so we're going to take a brief break and come back for round 4. So, see everyone in just a minute.
And we are back with round four. We're diving into some players that haven't had quite as amazing of a run here tonight, but we want to get Eclipper's Lull a chance to see the tournament light. He's playing a Rakano mid-range deck that's making use of a Deep Forge plate in the market and various other things like only 2 Razans, one in the market, and just kind of altogether being a Valkyrie list using Baby Ikaria and... Wait, that's not a Valkyrie. That's not a Valkyrie. It's not a Valkyrie list. It's just a Rakano mid. It
Oh, it's
might
just.
work out.
Oh yeah.
Over on Prometheus's side of things, there's once again Horde Plunderer. I like Horde Plunderer a lot, even though I don't have a full playset.
It is a cool card.
I mean, the thing about weapon-based units, units that thrive on weapons, is they require a lot of specific situations to occur for them to actually really provide their value, even if it's a lot of value, like her.
Yes. But it's a 1/4, so dodge is like the early removal and torch most commonly.
Yeah, torches, hailstorms, which clippers won't have.
Yep.
Even
And Sword of Icarius.
common stuff like Vanquish, which is once again not well. Vanquish can eventually kill it if it like picks up copper hull bracers, but if it is picking up copper hull bracers, there's a turn where it gets to attack with copper hull bracers and with berserk.
Yeah, like it definitely has very scary draws. It's like players are jumping into the game here.
Yep.
Do you feel like either deck, which deck is favored this game, or you just want to see some fireworks?
I mean, I want to see some fireworks. I think it's possible that Prometheus can out-tempo Eclipsers, but I feel Prometheus deck, as much as I love it, it is the less consistent of the two.
Yes. But I think it'll be good games here, so. And Clippers has a pretty decent starting hand, so a lot of 3-drops, but I think that's kind of how their deck is constructed. And Prometheus here we see slow hand as well.
I think if you're Prometheus, you want to keep the lingering influence on top.
I think they have to just, and they can try to find just a regular power source, but
And Prometheus agrees.
both players not going to do much for the first couple turns.
But Eclipsers has quite a bit of lifesteal in the upcoming turns. So he's going with Whirling Duo rather than playing out the Huru operative. Which works out well here because 3-3 is a lot more useful once silenced than 2-3, where so much of Unseen Commando's value is in its text box.
Yes. I see Merchant come down, throwing back. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. He
They
goes
got,
for Changing Stick because he has Horde Plunderer to pick it up.
and pitch to power. It's interesting when you're getting Change Stick and you have Kothon in your hand.
Yeah, it feels like having that 5th power would be very useful, but I suppose at this point he just didn't want to pitch the Rogon's Disciple, which I imagine would have been the second best option here.
I mean, I think that's fine to, like, you're not the aggressor right now, and you don't have a ton of spells currently, so.
Now, if Prometheus soul reads Eclipsers, playing Svetya is the correct play.
But they don't. I mean, they don't have, like, harsh rules and things to fear, I don't believe.
Clippers is running harsh rules.
So they are harsh
That's
rules, okay.
why he's got the decent charge setup in Whirling Duos and
I see. So they have
Icarios.
tons and tons of units with harsh rules.
Yeah, it's a strange strategy that these Rakana mid-range decks have been going for, but
He only has 2, though,
like,
so.
yeah. Something you don't have to fear quite as much if you're a Prometheus, because there are only 2. Now, it turns out Eclipsers didn't wind up playing any of those Privilege of Rank anyway.
Yeah. See, this is where I would have, like, having that power from Prometheus would have been really nice, but.
Yeah. but Horde Plunderer could start to represent a lot of damage. It's going to be much less because he's going to have to use the Finest Hour to save it here, but that is still strong play.
But
Now,
Prometheus is down to
also
7,
very
so
important, Crown Watch Standard. That's still rather awkward,
yep.
especially since I feel like at this point Prometheus just has to play the changey stick and frogify the Unseen Commando.
Yeah.
He does represent a decent amount of damage here, but
I mean, Eclipser's is at 29 after this.
yeah, and he chooses not to play the Crown Watch Standard.
I mean, he just. I think he needs
Thoroughly
lifesteal.
Yeah. Vanquish will be able to kill Razan. And once again, give Rogan's Disciple double damage.
He doesn't attack with it though.
Clippers could be representing lethal off the Icaria, but I feel like it's more likely that he's representing lethal off of a torch. So I feel like if you're Prometheus, you just have to be getting in there.
Yeah. Now Prometheus just really needs his Crown Watch Standard to transform.
And Svetya's not going to be transforming that Crown Watch Standard. It is time to start chaining Svetyas, though.
Yes. I mean, I think we're just gonna see Icaria activation, and then another Icaria plus activation, maybe.
This Icaria has already been ultimated.
Oh, excuse me. I missed
She's already
that.
had her ultimate used, but these Icarias now are 4/3s, and Prometheus only has one flyer to block one. Which
Yeah.
means the second one is a lethal threat that Prometheus currently can't block. And a Shelterwing Rider, however, will be able to provide a blocker for that Icaria.
Yes, for a while too. So.
And this
But it can't block a torch.
Exactly, this line still does a torch. And I feel like Prometheus is giving the Clippers just way too many turns to draw that torch.
Yeah. I don't know if there was much. How many more turns you can
Else he
shorten
could
it by,
do
but
anyway. Yeah, there may not have been much else he could do anyway, but that means that the Clippers, on his first time on camera, is up 1-0 over Prometheus's Hoover Spellcraft.
Yep.
I feel like Prometheus just wound up giving the Clippers too much time to gain life off of all of those early life stealers.
Yep. Players are back in the game already, though.
That is one of the benefits of not having any sideboards to deal with. It's just time to dive right back in. Ooh, for Prometheus, it's a 2-power hand with a Horde Plunderer and 2 Copper Hull bracers. So it's a gamble to keep it, but if it pays off big.
Yep. So.
Looks like he decides it's not time to gamble. Throws it away, gets a Hoover Banner and a Primal Sigil, and draws into a Justice Sigil, so he'll be able to play Genev Merchant. Maybe eventually the Svetya.
So yeah. Slow hands this game. Very slow hands from both players this game.
Incredibly slow hands that aren't getting any faster with these draws.
Now we're just gonna see everyone taking trips to the market.
Prometheus getting gift of battle out of the market could mean that a top deck of an undepleted power is representing both a lot of damage and a fair amount of ramp. Which is the part of Prometheus's deck that I like a lot alongside the girl herself. So it looks like just playing the bracers out anyway to hit and get that ramp now does mean that the Clippers will be able to kill off the merchant with this rune hammer. Oh
Nope.
wait, no, never
Finest.
mind.
Yeah. I would have
Right.
if there wasn't a finest. I would have thought that line was very aggressive. But here, yeah, he gets to block the
Yeah. No.
rune hammer. So
Yeah, I keep forgetting that
finest hour is a
bracers
fast spell.
plays the weapon. No, I keep forgetting that bracers plays the weapon undepleted.
The power. Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty
Yeah, the power.
nice thing that comes up. So yeah. And now you just plays Fetcha.
Yeah, and
And Clips will suffer for
Sega
what they did.
won't actually really stop anything from the Clippers, but this is the aggro plan that Prometheus is getting to play, and
Yeah. And Prometheus
Razan only
doesn't
is
have
only
life steals
breaking
though.
Genev Merchant's Aegis and
The Clippers is just dead this turn.
Vanquish. Yeah, Vanquish into
Linebreaker Shield or Finest Hour or Gift of Battle.
Yeah.
Prometheus can choose however he would like to deal the finishing blow.
I'm on the had all these for.
Looks like that's what Prometheus is going to do.
Yep.
Clippers will only die on the first attack, though, I believe.
Well, it's important to get as much damage in as possible because you want to get your Eternal Warrior or whatever.
Oh, the achievement for damage.
Actually, never mind this.
Yeah, I
is
think this
gonna-
works in.
pretty much where you can- Exactly. It doesn't work in Challenging Friends. Never mind. So, with that very quick game, players are now tied, and I feel like that's the speed the game kind of would be if Prometheus wins it. Whereas the speed the first game was, as in a lot slower, is kind of the speed the game's going to be if Clippers wins it.
Yep. So it's like Clippers kept his hand very quickly. It's missing a third
Prometheus
power,
also
but
keeps a rather strong hand with a. Looks like he's not going to go for the turn 2 Kothon because he would prefer to get the lingering influence played right now. Not entirely sure I agree with that, but I suppose top decking a Primal Sigil after bottoming a Primal Sigil means that Kothon is going to show up anyway.
Yep.
Second Bullet Shaper means that Valkyrie Enforcer can't silence them both, but there's also not really anything for the Clippers to discard or play off of Bullet Shaper's ultimate anyway.
So what do you think? Okay, so you're gonna play the Vulcan Forcer on. Alright, so the Clippers wants air superiority.
Which is definitely very strong. You don't necessarily have to silence Kothon this turn because you know you have another Vulcan Forcer that can silence it now, and this line means you get to attack him with the first one right now.
Yeah. Hirishi Prometheus can play Copper Hall Bracers though, and Spellcraft it.
Which is a very strong play because it allows him to attack him with all of his units, but I don't think attacking with Kothon actually does anything unless the Clippers is just going to take it all.
Yeah, I feel like I would have put the weapon somewhere else on than the Svetcha, but especially
I mean,
now
the
you
thing
just
is-
get hit by the giant rune hammer. So
Yeah, any of them died to the Runehammer anyway.
yeah, but yeah, you would have gotten to diversify your threats because now these 2/3s are just staring at bullet shapers with no way to get across.
Right.
And I think here we're gonna see shield break, line breaker shield come down.
Top decking Crown Watch tactic means that playing the power allows him to blow out a double block,
Yep.
and that's definitely a double block that the Clippers generally would want to make because Kothon with an ultimate still up is a very
He went for
powerful
the-
threat.
Interesting. Prometheus went for the damage.
Prometheus really likes playing this matchup aggressively, and
He does.
I do understand that because he knows that the Clippers has the better late game.
I mean, he would have had an ultimated Colthon though next turn, just beat up with cards. But now Eclipper's here is just I think merchanting for harsh rule
I mean,
or just
did
a
you really
vanquish.
want Marshall this board? I feel like a
Yeah,
Vanquish
vanquish.
just
I slipped my mind for a minute.
does better. Or
Oh,
that.
okay. The Clippers also wants to be the beatdown.
I mean, at this point, Prometheus is running out of threats. Look at that. He just passes the turn. And he's passing the turn into a whirling duo that next turn,
I was
if it doesn't.
attacking with the whirling duo.
Attacking with whirling duo makes sense because that would be a trade. It would be a 2-for-1 in
Yes.
Prometheus's favor, but I don't know.
I mean, I just like you have this D-Force play that if it goes on whirling duo, you probably win the game.
Yeah, and
But now we see a Clipper just top decks a vanquish here, and now he can push
attack
lots and
with
lots of damage.
impunity.
Definitely attack with all your flyers. I think you punish a double block either way. So
I mean, Eclipsers is probably right to be keeping Yun's back as blockers because he's at 9 and a deck with project units can suddenly deal a lot of damage.
yeah,
We've
changey
seen
stick is a
that.
thing. So
Yeah.
but now we have this. Prometheus blocks all the ground units, and then still dies. So
Yep. So Eclipsers takes the match against Prometheus. At another invitational point for Eclipsers, starting that grind to push to be able to be in our top 16 for our August Invitational, which currently has a prize pool of,
I believe just over $100.
yes, it's currently sitting at about $103. And you know how that prize pool's been made? How that prize pool's been funded?
Duncan drinks lots of Soylent.
I mean, Duncan has been a part of it, but it's been funded by our lovely viewers.
That's true.
They can add to the prize pool for free by using our coupon code ECL August 18 over at Matcherino, which you can find a link to either in chat or below the stream. There's also some sponsor links that you can click to add more money to the prize pool for free and various streamer reward or various rewards that you can get for spending your own money adding to the prize pool if you so desire. We're also sponsored by Inked Gaming, lovely place where you can use this code TGB12 at checkout to get 12% off your purchase of beautiful custom playmats and mouse pads.
Yep.
And sponsored by you guys. You've put money into this, especially Proj and Eri Kyoto, and of course Duncan Wren. But it seems like we do have a little bit more Eternal that we're going to get to bring you right now.
Yep. We're going to bring you one last match here of Houdini on Akari Blue versus Cross playing the Combre aggro. And it is 1-1, so this will be the final game.
Yep. And these players are, of course, playing for an additional invitational point. Top 16 players will be going to that invitational on the last Sunday of the month. And it looks like right now, Cross seems favored in a vacuum, but Houdini's is going to be getting to play these Razans.
Lots of
Like I have a
Razans.
spectator bug, so I'm refreshing. He only has one in hand now.
Okay. Working that back for you, everyone in just a second.
There we are. But it looks like he also has an Arc Runehammer, though an attack with Stand Together is going to mean that Cross's Record Keeper eats one of those Razans, even though Houdini gains life off it. That
Yeah. Houdini
Record
did not
Keeper
play
is
around
just,
the stand together either.
yeah, the Record Keeper now is just too big to really have Razan deal with it, so I think at this point Houdini needs to be able to attack in with the Razan. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to take 3 turns and I don't think getting 5 life is going to be enough when you're
No.
taking 15 every turn.
No, I would have liked an Aegis pop there, in case you draw a Vanquish on the for the 6/6 record keeper. It still gets to use its Entomb, but you take a lot of damage off the board. So,
Yeah,
and going from 14 to 11 doesn't change Houdini's clock that much.
like at all. Especially since he's making block on this record keeper that's a chump block with the silenced Winchest Merchant, and Cross gets commit 2 more units to the board, and there's no way for Houdini to win this.
Oh,
So even though Houdini got in 3 wins in tonight's 2 wins in tonight's tournament, never mind. I forgot somehow that our good friend Onat
Onatamu or Otamu?
Antamu
Ontamu.
Antamu had managed to pull out the win against Houdini, and here's another loss for Houdini, so crossing the invitational point there.
Yes. It's a good turnout for today. So it looks like Ontamu will win today. He'll be in first place, so picks up a good solid 4 points, 5 points for today's event. So everyone did very well. So
Yeah, 5 points might be enough to put him currently in the top 16 points holders. Though maybe getting around for a Sunday event would really help boosting any of these players.
yep, Sunday's a big boost for them. So how about all of our events this week? I think we're getting lots of feedback. So people seem to like and some of them. Some things I don't like. We're still working on everything. So and then we've got talked about Sunday's event. Played today's event. We mentioned Friday. Tuesday is also an event 8:30 p.m. EDT. It's the same format as today. It's the time. The time is scheduled more towards NA players, but everyone is free to join and play. So, and then I'd like to thank some of our sponsors, contributors, donators today. So, who would like to start off thanking?
Let's thank Clary for programming the website that we're using, Dr. Hero for providing some of the graphics we're using, The Rock for both casting and producing today, Captain T-Bro for the graphics he's provided for us, the Overmaster for his casting and producing even though he wasn't here today, Ahorn for tournament organizing today and the graphics that he's helped supply, and those who have added money to the prize pool of their own pockets. Catsko Moo sponsored our first tournament, our first Conquest tournament, and that's the format we're now running on all of our Sunday events, both the Sunday challenges and the Invitational. Rechef for the money he added to the prize pool for that initial conquest and for bringing the Great Parliament together. Duncan for his Soylent purchase that's added $60 to the prize pool, and Eric Kyoto and Croge have both spent $5 of their own money to add to the prize pool as well.
Yeah, thank you everyone for helping, supporting us, and everyone for tuning in as well.
For The Rock, I'm Cygnus, and we're going to be signing off now. We hope to see you tomorrow for the Eternal Casual Friday.
Bye.